Welcome to Wednesday. It's November 27th, 2024. Your Day Weather Podcast brought to you by Converse County Tourism. Douglas and Glen Rock, Wyoming are bustling with action this holiday season. Plan your excursion, including fun activities, beautiful downtowns, and historic treasures. Learn more at conversecountytourism.com. Well, cold conditions will be noted across the region today. Most areas will feel some pretty chilly temperatures and will for the next several days. So scenes like that in the photo being found in some parts of the West, especially across Colorado and parts of southern Wyoming. As we go through the day today, though, the Pacific system is going to shift south and east. So the focus of the bigger snows today will be Colorado, Utah, and into the central Rockies with some icy, snowy conditions still in far southern areas of Wyoming along Interstate 80 throughout the first part of the day today. Cold Canadian air is pouring in, so we're going to have continued winter driving in many areas today, especially early in the day. The conditions will improve as this all slides off to the east, but the cold will stay. This temperature is going to be pretty chilly through the Thanksgiving weekend. We're also going to see little disturbances produce some pockets of light snow and flurry activity, especially for Montana, parts of northern Wyoming, and the Dakotas, and parts of the plains this weekend. Nothing really heavy. It just, you'll occasionally in this pattern have some flurry activity that could cause a few slick spots in some roads and highways in the region, especially the north central areas. Now, as we go into next week, the way the pattern is evolving, the upper level winds aloft will direct the worst of the Arctic air into the nation's midsection, the north central U.S., the Great Lakes, and the Northeast. So we're going to be chilly, it's going to be blustery, but it could be a lot worse. Let's put it that way. The way the pattern is setting up, the coldest of the cold will go to the east, and we really don't see much in the way of any precipitation for next week, most of next week, with the shift of the weather pattern, the main jet stream going east. You can see thickening and increasing moisture, just a lot of Pacific moisture. So we've had a lot of layers of clouds, as you can see from that shot in Monument, Colorado. Now here's a time lapse where this really illustrates, number one, the deep Pacific moisture moving into the region yesterday, and also the fact that winds aloft causing those wave features of those lenticular clouds to where you will see the clouds nearly looking like they're nearly stationary because they're forming in the wave. Now here's a time-lapse video that Jan Curtis put together for it really shows this very well. When you see over time, I want you to watch in this area right here to where the lenticular cloud is forming and staying in that same place. Then you can see the higher level moisture moving in above it. So this is a very low altitude lenticular cloud, as you can see in that image right there. You can see how it's forming and staying in that same wave feature. There's that moisture right there coming off the Pacific and streaking its way through the region. You can see the deeper moisture, the instability is in this general area here, and that's where the weather and the action is going to be today. Look at all the blue. See all this blue up here? This is an indication of the colder air. Low-level stratus clouds off the deck and very cold temperatures coming in out of Canada and being directed this way. And you can see that in the temperatures late last night. Temperatures across Alberta and Saskatchewan were going below zero. So that really cold air is headed that way. Temperatures will be cold because of the northwest winds aloft. This is where we are as of early this morning. What's left of that big Pacific storm, it's been beat up and chewed up, and it's kind of on the way out, but there it is, and it's coming right across the region, and hence the winter weather that's going to be produced by it. So right underneath the path of that low, this is the precipitation basically for today into tomorrow morning. So you can see it follows the path right here. So it's really picking on Colorado, Utah, the south central Wyoming areas along Interstate 80, then into northern New Mexico. So there's going to be, especially early in the day, some just poor travel conditions with snow. And the fact that the air is getting colder, icier conditions will develop compared to yesterday. Up here, These are the areas of light snow and flurries developing under the Arctic air mass as it comes in from the northwest. So you're going to have a bit of snow up here, not a lot, flurries, but enough to make roads and highways icy and put a little winter chill in the air. And if we can convert that to snow, this is through late tonight. So this is where your travel concerns are going to be today into early Thanksgiving morning. And during Thanksgiving Day, this area up here will be susceptible to the light snow and flurry activity continuing. Northwest winds aloft on Thanksgiving Day, this is for noon tomorrow, will be pumping in cold air across a lot of the nation. Temperatures. These are the temperature anomalies for Thanksgiving Day. So other than the southeast, down around Tucson and Phoenix here, and Maine, relative to average, you're going to see much, much below average temperatures in a cold Thanksgiving Day across a lot of the U.S. And as we showed you yesterday, this Arctic air mass, as it slides this way and heads to the upper Midwest and the Great Lakes, is going to instigate a lot of weather in that part of the country for the second half of the Thanksgiving weekend. We showed you this yesterday that there's going to be, between Friday and into Saturday, a stretch of moisture and cold Canadian air producing areas of light snow in northwest flow on the backside of the system. So for you folks in Montana and northern Wyoming, from Yellowstone Park to right along the border, even into maybe the northern Black Hills, this is going to be an area of snow flurries and icy road conditions as we go into Friday and Saturday up there. So that'll be a travel concern, and that little tongue of moisture will continue to go that way. And we showed you that part of the U.S. that could see that central part of the U.S. get some just enough snow to make things very, very icy in that Arctic air. So that's another area of concern in the Friday-Saturday time frame in this region. Again, it's very little snow, as you can see right there, but it's enough to make it icy. So watch out for that. Large scale, that's the same image for the U.S. for the period, the 4-day period of as we get into late Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So you can see the heavy snow in the Great Lakes in the northeast, but it doesn't look like much. But again, if you've got to drive through this area right here and up here, watch out for a few icy areas, bridges, overpasses, exit ramps, that type of thing. Then there's the lake effect snow. It's just going to crank out. This is going to be a period of lake effect snows over many days in a row starting this weekend. This is just through Sunday. You can see, if you look really carefully, 2 to 3 feet of snow on the shores of Lake Erie. We also have that Buffalo, New York area that's going to just be really under the gun for heavy snows. And heavy snows in Ontario, western and southwest Michigan, and the upper peninsula there. But it's also going to snow. You tend to get snow squalls that could come in and get further south and east off of the higher terrain areas. So that part of the country is going to be the worst off during the Thanksgiving weekend. The week afterwards, this is kind of the configuration we're going to see for most of next week. High pressure along the west coast, the winds aloft coming in from the northwest, just a huge trough of low pressure, and underneath that is just a lot of very cold Canadian air. So you can see the winds aloft bisect the Continental Divide. So along and west of the divide, the warmer air will reside. Along and east of the divide is where the coldest temperatures will be. Then underneath this area right here is where the coldest of the cold air will settle in next week. We will have an update for you tomorrow morning for Thanksgiving morning on travel conditions. In the meantime, have a great Wednesday and a very good Thanksgiving.